Friends, welcome back to my channel. In my previous videos, we had learned the process of vendor consignment process, and also we had done exercises on the vendor consignment process. Now we will take up the next topic in inventory management, which is subcontracting process. Here we will learn what is subcontracting process, how do we provide the components to the subcontract vendor, how do we post the excessive for the finished product, and how do we do the subsequent adjustment for excess consumption or under consumption of the subcontracting components. Okay, and also we also have some exercises here on the subcontracting process. We will learn how to create a BOM for the assembly of the subcontract item. Then that is how do we provide the components of the subcontract purchase order to the subcontract vendor. How do we create a subcontract purchase order, and how we post the goods receipt of the subcontract purchase order, and also how we can do the subsequent adjustment for excess or under consumption of the components provided to the subcontract vendor. So since doing these exercises will take time, I have decided, to make separate videos for these exercises. And in this video, we will just, go through the complete subcontract process. So first we should know what is a subcontract process or what is subcontracting. In subcontracting, we make the components for the production of some assembly or finished product and supply these components to the subcontractor or subcontracting vendor. The subcontractor assembles the components and makes the finished product or assembly and sends it back to us. Upon receiving the finished product from the subcontractor, we post GR for the finished product. When you post the GR at the same time, the consumption of components provided to the supplier are also posted, or goods issue is posted for the components which are provided to the subcontract vendor. If the subcontractor reports an excess or under consumption of components after the GR posting, we can correct the GR with a subsequent adjustment. And invoice verification for a subcontract item is done in the same way as invoice verification for a standard item using Miro transaction code. That is a brief of the subcontract process. So here, how does a subcontract purchase order look like? Okay. Or how do we create a subcontract purchase order? We create a subcontract purchase order with item category L for the subcontract item. So this is most important. When we create a subcontract purchase order, we should immediately select the item category as L or the subcontract item. And for each subcontract item, we must enter one or more sub items as components to make the assembly. If we have a bill of material for the assembly, then the components are copied from this bill of material into the subcontracting item. Here we can also enter the components manually or add the components from the bill of material, and the PO price is the price of the supplier subcontracting work and any materials that the contractor uses to make the assembly. We can also maintain price and conditions for subcontracting purchase order in a subcontracting purchasing info record. Okay, this price in the subcontract purchase order will be agreed between us and the subcontract vendor. Okay, now next point. The components that we provide to the subcontractor are managed as special stock O or stock of material provided to supplier. This special stock is not stored in our premises, but it is placed at supplier's place. However, this special stock is valuated. See, the components, right, that are required to make the final or finished product or assembly are not kept at our premises, but we are supplying to them and they are at supplier's workplace. But however, these components are valuated. Okay. Then provision of components. How do we provide the components of the subcontract assembly to the subcontract vendor? The components are provided to the subcontract vendor by transfer posting from unrestricted use stock to the stock of material provided to vendor using movement of 541. Okay, we can go to the MIGO transaction code and provide the or components or issue the components to the subcontract vendor using 541 movement type. And also we also have one more transaction code ME20, which is under which one under this transaction code also we can provide the components to the subcontract vendor. Okay, so let me show you this transaction code. Let us go to the SAP ECC6 screen here. See, we can see here. Okay, under material management, purchasing, purchase order, reporting, ME20, ME20, or we can also use ME20N, contracting cockpit. Okay, so these are the two transactions. Okay, so which we can use actually. Okay, so monitor the provision of components to the subcontract vendor. Okay, and goods receipt for the finished product. When the subcontractor delivers the ordered material or the finished product or the assembly, we post the GR for the subcontracting purchase order as we would post a GR for a standard PO with movement type 101. How we post the GR for any other standard purchase order using the MIGO transaction code? In the same way, we will post the GR for the item of the subcontract purchase order. For the subcontracting order item, the system determines the components and creates a goods issue item internally for each component. See, when we push the GR for the main assembly of the subcontract purchase order item, at the same time, the system, right, it will also create a goods issue document internally for all the components. Okay. Now here, the once the goods receipt is posted, the GR document is created. Okay. And what does this goods receipt document or goods receipt material document consist of? The material document of the goods receipt consists of the following items. What are these items? The first is GR item for the material delivered by the supplier. Okay. When you display a GR material document for the goods receipt posted for a contract purchase order, you will see GR item for the material delivered by the supplier and goods issue items for the components. Okay, for the components, which are which we are providing to the subcontract vendor actually. Now, the material documents for GR posted for the subcontract PO, okay, will have this following. The first thing is when you see the GR, okay, posted for the main material, you will see moment type 101. And when you see the components of the main that is the main assembly or the main finished product, you will see goods issue for the components with movement of 543 in the same material document. For example, here, let me take you to the SAP screen here. I have a, uh, goods receipt document, okay, posted for a subcontract purchase order. Okay, for example, here I will show you this one. See how does it look like. Okay, this one. For example, this is a material document which was posted for a subcontract purchase order. Okay, which was created after posting goods receipt for a subcontract purchase order. See here, if you see the main item here, this is the main item. This is the main item. Okay, if you see this main item here, you can see here the movement type is 101. See here, 101, 101. And if you see the this one components for the main uh, assembly, you can see the movement type is 543. 543, which is a goods issue here. You can see minus sign. See here, I will expand this one space here. See here, this is minus. Minus means it is all goods issued, 543. 101 means goods received, which is addition to stock. 543 means minus sign, which is reduction in stock. Okay, and you can see this moment. If you, I can see 101. Here you can see plus GR. Okay, addition to stock. If I just double click screws 10 mm, I can see movement type is 543 and also minus here. Means goods issued to subcontract like this. Okay, so that is the specialty of the material document generated when we post the goods receipt for the subcontract purchase order. Okay, and also when posting the goods receipt for the purchase order item, we can still change the component quantities manually in the goods issue items. These changes are necessary if the vendor informs us of an excess consumption or under consumption of components when making the finished product. That means what it means is when we are posting the GR for the main material, okay, so we can just click this components here. For example, here, lost view. Okay, so here, quantity here. Here, let us say for one assembly, we need 500 screws actually, hexagon screws. But let us say if the vendor says that he has consumed 10 additional hexagonal screws. That means the total component of the uh, total number of hexagonal screws he has consumed to make the assembly is 510. So we can add this, we can change this quantity to 510 when we are posting the GR document for the subcontract item. Okay, so that is about the how we can post the goods receipt for the finished product of a subcontract purchase order. Last one is subsequent adjustment. Okay, if the subcontractor reports an excess consumption or under consumption of the components after delivery of the finished product, we have to post a subsequent adjustment to correct the component consumption. See here, when the one 2 points we have to note here. At the when the subcontract vendor, delivers the finished product, at that time only if he says he has used some excess, quantity of certain components, then, we can change that quantity of the components at the time of posting GR. Okay, that time only we can do it. But let us say vendor has, when he has delivered the assembly or the finished product, he has not mentioned anything in the delivery document. He has not said anything. But after posting GR of the finished product, later if he is saying that he has used excess components or under consumption, then also we can do the subsequent adjustment. Okay, how we can do the subsequent adjustment? By using the MIGO transaction code, we can choose subsequent adjustment and refer the purchase order, subcontract purchase order. Okay, once we input the subcontract PO number and we press enter, then it will show the list of the components, and there, we can do the subsequent adjustment. Okay, let us say if it is under consumption, that is, let us say the quantity of this M10 screws, which I just now showed you, is 500, right? If the vendor says he has used only 490 or 495, means 5 quantity less than the quantity, okay, which are required for the assembly, then we have to select under consumption or short receipt indicator. Okay, when we are doing the subsequent adjustment. If it is a excess consumption, we should not select this indicator, but we should add that excess quantity whatever he has consumed and post the subsequent adjustment document. Okay, how do we post this subsequent adjustment document practically in MIGO? We should know this. I will take you to the SAP screen here. Let me take you to the MIGO transaction code here. Okay, let me take you to MIGO. Let us go to MIGO MIGO transaction code here. Okay, so here what we have to do, to let us say we have posted GR for the main item or the assembly of the subcontract purchase order. Later vendor is saying he has used some excess quantity, 10 quantity of certain component. Then what we have to do, we have to go to MIGO go here, subsequent, select subsequent adjustment. Then this in the purchase order, put the subcontract purchase order, enter. The system will, open this screen here, here you expand this one here, the main item. If you expand this one, the components will open. You can also, you can, okay. So let us say he is saying that, he has used uh, 10 quantity of this hexagon is extra, excess one. Okay, just, double click on this one. And here, what you have to do, you have to go to quantity and add that one. Okay. So, that is already, we have issued 510 excess quantity. So let us say he has used that excess 10 quantity, then, 10 here. Whatever the quantity, excess quantity he has used, it can be 5 also. Put that quantity, whatever he has used, and here, select item OK and post. And suppose this is for excess quantity. He has, if he consumption, or if he says that, he has used less quantity than what is required for one assembly. Let us say for this assembly, 500 quantity is required. And suppose if the vendor says he has used only 495 M10 screws, means 5 quantity less than, what is required. Then what we have to do, in that it is called a under consumption. We have to put that 5 here, and here select or shorter sale. Okay, here, it says under consumption, put that whatever that under consumption quantity vendor has, that is, mentioned actually, vendor has said, and select here under consumption. Suppose if he has used excess quantity, and whatever that excess quantity he has used, put that excess quantity here, there, and do not, and select post. Okay, so this is how to, push the subsequent adjustment for a contract, purchase order. Okay, so this is all about the subcontract purchase order process. And in my next videos, right, we will do some exercises. Okay, starting from creation of a BOM for a assembly to doing the subsequent adjustment. And all these exercises are very interesting. Please do not forget to watch these exercises. And also after these exercises, right, after we complete the subcontracting process, I am going to upload other videos on other interesting topics. Okay, not only on inventory management, and on all the topics in MM. Okay, which will be very interesting for you to watch, and take up the certification examination, or work on practical real-time projects. And also, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and also please give your comments, and also please like these videos. So see you in my next videos.